So if you've checked out any content on this channel, you know that I'm a big fiend for any game that involves character building. Making certain builds around certain classes, certain character types, what have you. I love doing that. And if you are someone like that too, who loves that in roguelites and survivor-esque games, as well as ARPGs, then maybe you might want to check out this next game. This next game being Striving for Light Survival 1.0 is now out. It is by Igniting Spark Games. Now, evidently, this game released in December of 2023 and is based off of the ARPG that they're working on that is currently in early access since November of 2021, also called Striving for Light. Hence the reason why this is Striving for Light Survival. This does seem to pull a lot of what's in the ARPG into this, and so I'm really intrigued to see how this is. And if you've played the ARPG that's currently in early access, let me know in the comments or in the chat here on Twitch what your thoughts are of it and how similar they are together. Now, I will say, we definitely have the skill trees, we definitely have the building, the different kind of characters and stuff to unlock, the different kinds of weapons and abilities. And also, another thing that I've noticed is the unique artwork, actually. Whereas we either usually see 8-bit pixel or we see very real graphics based on the Unreal Engine for a lot of these games. But for this one, it almost looks hand-drawn, which is quite interesting. So it's something, at least visually, that's actually kind of refreshing and different. So I'm going to be really intrigued to see how this plays out. How do all the systems, mechanics, and the art and environment come together to hopefully make a really fun, immersive experience? And what this says here, Striving for Light Survival brings the exploration of infinite expanding skill trees to the arena survival roguelite genre. Unlock new characters, weapons, skills, and maps, slay hordes of monsters, and take on massive boss fights. So will this live up to that? Let's find out. Let's go ahead and jump into Striving for Light Survival by Igniting Spark Games. Now, there are leaderboards, which is cool, so you can see who's scoring the highest on each level and at each difficulty, which is pretty neat. There is also a way of tagging your Twitch channel and your YouTube channel, so if you score high on the leaderboard, people can also see that link and check you on out, which is pretty interesting. There are, of course, plenty of achievements as well, as you can see, all from ranging from leveling up certain abilities to a certain extent, unlocking certain weapons, reaching certain levels, defeating end bosses for all maps on a certain tier, etc., etc. So if you are into that grind, into that achievement hunting, again, these games are usually notorious for it. This seems to have quite a bit, 230 total achievements to be exact. So this is interesting. A lot of stuff is locked away until you unlock it. Again, that is a part of, or the MO of these types of games, because that's to give you value, to keep going and to keep striving, to keep pushing, right? And as we can see, we can pick a melee weapon, a range weapon. So it looks like we potentially start with both. And then from there, we also choose our skills. And there's a whole section of skills, melee weapons, and range weapons. So quite intriguing. We start off with Unknown Wanderer. Unknown Wanderer with balanced talents, 20 to melee damage, minus 20 projectile damage. So here's the reverse of the coin. Unknown Wanderer, balanced talents, not so good at melee, but good with projectile. Okay, so you're having balance within the characters already based on how you want to start. Do you want to be more of like a warrior type, or do you want to be more of a sort of mage type or caster type? Interesting. Now, what else do we have? We have Darokin, we have Halasia, Goladir, Dark Wanderer, the Farmer, and Rogue. We have different weapons varying from short sword, great sword, magic shield, hammer, sugarcane, because why the hell not? Earth Shaper, so some like legendary type of weapons, poison blight, ballistic barkwood. Ooh, that sounds fun. I like the alliteration. Ballistic barkwood. We also have light staff, dark staff, ice staff, emerald staff, blaze bolt, echo ballista, wood weaver. Oh, again with the alliteration. If anything, I'm just 10 out of 10 on the alliteration. I'm a fan of that. Wood weaver. Grim rebound, God, that just sounds like an ex went to date someone else, they got dumped, and then you hook back up with them. That's a grim rebound. Slingshot, Staff of the Phoenix. All right. See, for abilities, Stone Toss, Grim Reaper, Glaring Light, Scattering Hit, Scattering Projectiles, Bleeding Swirl. So with this, we get the description, we get what type of skill it is, melee. We also can see range. Trying to see if there's any other, like a third type by any means, but yeah, it seems just melee and range, melee and range. Skill effect on attack, on hit. Applies poison to enemies, dealing condition damage, just straight up damage, and decreases the attack speed of the person getting hit, it looks like. Nice. Okay, so very interesting. So you do get like every kind of thing imaginable, like stat-wise, which is really nice. Not so much like specific numbers. We are getting some, but let's see here. AoE size, damage scales with your projectiles. So this is on dodge, exploding dodge. That's pretty cool. Skill effect on dodge, 12 damage. Cool. Okay. Interesting. Chaos. In Chaos mode, you will play with a random character, random weapons, and random skills. Shape the chaos and compete in separate leaderboards. That's cool. So again, once you've grinded out all the achievements, unlocked all the characters, skills, weapons, you name it, there's still something else. If you want to spice it up, you can do Chaos. Or if you get bored of the grind and you just want to break it up but still be within the world, you have the Chaos mode, which I always appreciate those modes in these type of games and ARPGs, etc. So that's cool. I do appreciate that. Now for maps, we have the Beach, Basement, Descent, Forest, Stonehold, Eternal Sands, Hideout, Frozen Plains, Mountain Peaks, Oriat Dome, Forlorn Lands, Swamp, Courtyard of Ankarath, The Void, Caves, Eordra Arena. That's a fair amount of maps, honestly. I dig that. That's cool. Oh, life's a beach. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, y'all are really hauling ass at me. Hi. Glowing killer clams? Steampunk clams? I'm not sure. I like the dash. I love the fact there's a dash. Okay, so the hearts will stay there. You don't automatically pick them up. I like that. The fact is, you pick up stuff when you need it. In the sense of like health and stuff. Because there are some games where that doesn't happen. You just automatically pick it up. It's gone, even if you had 100 health, etc. So that's actually nice. Though I do get it, because sometimes there are certain abilities where if you pick up extra hearts, the health can turn into armor. So it depends on the mechanics of the game too. So you can temporarily deactivate skills to maintain your attack speed. Skills can be reactivated at any time. That's interesting. Okay, that's unique. Usually with these games, it's like once you have it, you're always using it. And Soulstone Survivors has been the only game where I've seen where you can replace a skill, where you go, crap, I didn't want that, or I had really no choice, because I couldn't skip, I couldn't lock, I couldn't banish, I couldn't do anything like that. I didn't have any of those, so I had to pick this one. So you can, if you get lucky, you can replace it. But what this is saying is, hey, if you want to deactivate it, and then reactivate it later, you can, for whatever reason. So that's intriguing. Okay. Increase your attack speed or right mouse button toggle on and off skill. Increase attack speed. Okay, so besides the skills themselves, we can also increase attack speed. So we have sort of our actives, if you will, which are attacks, and then our passives, which would be like the number of projectiles, how fast you move, how fast you attack. The type of damage, like condition damage, like bleeding, or whatever the game may hold for that. And so, yeah, this definitely comes off as an ARPG type of tree. You look at like Path of Exile and so forth. Many of those types of games definitely has that vibe. A lot of games, a lot of survivors-based games usually do some sort of like listing or card system, almost like where they pop up like cards and you just kind of pick what you want. But this one is more like a skill tree, like an ARPG, where it's just like, okay, well, if you want to follow this path, you can do this direction for this, or you go this direction for that, which is different. And I can see where that could be pulled from Striving of Light, their ARPG. So uncollected light fragments convert to elite enemies. Oh, okay, so we're supposed to be picking up those light fragments, which are XP, like gems in many other games. And the ones we don't pick up, I guess, turn into elite enemies, which is also a very intriguing mechanic that I've never seen in any other Survivor-esque game. So it's interesting. It's different. I appreciate that. And I've seen some games, some Survivor-esque games also have this sort of setup where they do have kind of like an arena-style mode, which is more so what this feels like. You're just in a very small space and everything kind of gets thrown at you. There are no what seems to be physical obstacles, at least not on the beach level. Shard of Conjunction, a shard with the power to reforge, so we don't have any of those yet. A shard with the power to change an unskilled node to a new random skill, Shard of Change. We have one that we can use, and then a Shard of Refund. Oh, there we go. There's that. Okay, now we're getting some projectiles and a bonus sword. Ooh. And our dashes are down below. Those are those golden nodes below. So we have 4 of them total. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting way of going about this, like art style-wise and also skill-wise. Boy, the waves just go so quick, too. And I'm guessing that you get more benefit with the more enemies that you're able to actually kill off. Okay, we're getting more things dead. That's nice. Some funky looking things like some lots of different like crustaceans and I'm not even sure. Some shelled entities of some sort. Bugs. Interestingly enough, I don't really see any or much in the way of range attacks. Like the little turtle lobster looking things have an AoE, it looks like. But that's about it. Increase movement speed, increase projectile range. Sure, sounds good to me. So we're level 7 and we are on wave 8. And sound effects are okay. This map is pretty basic, but then again, it is also the starter map. Interesting how close you can zoom in. But hey, you get some, you know, nice details of the art. So we're getting like these glow bugs, spiders. Seems right. For a basement, sure. Yeah, let's go with the wolves. Get him, Cujo. I call my wolf alpha male? Ha. Oh man, all those bats together, or whatever you want to call them, like, ooh. That's rough. Oh, that just sounds like an absolute nightmare. You land and all of a sudden, oh, there goes the door. I'm sorry. At least we landed. These bats really make it tough to push in on the boss. It seems like the wolves are just like completely ignoring the boss too. Well, the boss lays eggs. Fantastic. That's what you want to see. Interesting mechanic though. Character design or whatever, enemy design. I don't think we're going to be able to kill the end boss here. But we should, once we start unlocking a bit more stuff. And the luck is in our favor. All right, cool. Level 24. You have survived. So as you can see, every character has a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. They also, and some of the ranged weapons technically aren't 100% range, in the sense of like with the Emerald Staff, instead of sending out projectiles, it summons spiders that become your companion. And those spiders go out and kill things. You also have several skills to choose from, and you can have a certain amount fully active at once. And then there are times where you might say, hey, I don't want this, I want this, and you can easily click and unclick stuff as you go through, which is pretty cool. So we just got the magic shield recently, knockback 300, special effects 20% chance on attack to create shield that prevents enemies and projectiles from entering. Pretty nice, scales with AoE. So I want to do this with Darokin, who I just unlocked from beating the first end boss on wave 20 on the first map, which is the beach. Darokin, the wise man of Ankarath, slow but with unique magical strength, start skill glaring light on attack. So negative 35% on attack speed, so slow. Movement speed negative 35%, but the area of effect is plus 20%, but you don't have as much dodge. So you're slow, you don't attack very fast, but you have a lot of area that you cover with your attack. So that's why I feel like the magic shield will actually help quite a bit until we can kind of snowball this character once we get deep enough into the waves. Also, I think what I'm going to do is use Light Staff, and the reason why is because we get a fair amount of stats with this. We get area of effect 10%, collect range 10%, crit hit damage 110%, crit hit chance 10%, and movement speed 10%. So we're getting a little bit of movement speed back. So we're only really getting a hit of negative 25%. So I'll take that. And then of course we get a larger area of effect, which this guy already has a huge area of effect. So at this point we're now to 30% AoE. And then also we have a collect range. So that's nice because we're so slow, it's going to take a while to get to these shards of light that we need to collect. And if we can collect it from farther away, why not? Overall, just better quality of life. As we can see, we have our radiant light around us, doing some pretty nice damage. And then we have our blue shield as well, protecting us. And we're doing a little bit of shield bashing. We don't get much range with it, but we do have a pretty solid knockback with it. And then we have the projectiles from the Light Staff. What I was mentioning about the skills is that you have this kind of branching skill tree that generates over time as you pick stuff, which I think is pretty interesting. And what I find interesting too is that this is how you get your skills. So in a lot of these survival-based games, you pick your skills in sort of like a card system where they sort of pop up and you can pick, I want this, I want this, I want this. So I want this attack ability, or I want this passive if I want to be able to attack faster, right? Our rate of speed for our attack, or our movement speed, or whatever. You can, alter those. Well, with this, everything is mixed together. So you don't get like, here's a choice of passives and then here's a choice of attacks. It's all mixed in this tree. So you can find different attack abilities, like summon a ravaging companion. They will just reveal themselves over time. But then you also get the movement speed increase, AoE increase, max health increase, increased condition damage like poison or bleed, stuff like that. So I find that really interesting. And when you pick the skills, let's say, for instance, Ravaging Companion, or no, actually it's not even on this one. Oh, that's nice. There are some skills that, or most of the skills, that will take away from your attack speed. So you have to balance attack speed with the number of skills that you want. And if you feel like you're too slow right off the bat or too early on, you can actually go through and you can sort of mute it. You can turn it off temporarily. And then whenever you want, you can turn it back on. So if you're like, okay, good, we actually got enough movement, or not movement speed, attack speed within the tree, I can reactivate this. So that's pretty nice. I actually really appreciate that. That's pretty unique for a Survivors-esque game. Yeah, that's right. Get hit by my holy light. Get shielded on, son. Okay, okay. Too close. Too close. Bad touch. Do not like. Not today, Satan. How about no? Blinded by the light, rolled up like a deuce in the middle of the night. Now, this is an interesting concept, too. So you know how, like, in some games, depending on the map, you can kind of hang out on the outskirts? Well, in this game, they have an interesting concept I like. You have to get the light fragments if you don't want a ton of elite enemies. The more light fragments that are on the map, the more elite enemies you'll have in the next round, which will make it even tougher for you. So it keeps you active and moving throughout the map, which means that you have to really interact with the enemies. And I think that's pretty clever, actually. It keeps people from camping in a corner and gets them to actually be very active in moving and engaging with the game. Let's do the Emerald Staff. What I'm thinking is, let's be St. Patrick, but in reverse. Instead of pushing away the snakes, we just summon them. Well, spiders in this case. We're not getting the shield protection, but we're doing more damage with this than with the shields. We're actually getting more kills right off the bat, which is pretty nice. And we also have better reach, which is also very, very nice. Nah. We have a few minions working for us. Which are considered companions, so we could pick up companion boosts, and that would still benefit us. Another neat thing I like here is there's a little filter. So if you're trying to look specifically for attack speed, you can do that, and it'll highlight. Or things having to do with like your attack in general. So let's say speed. Increase attack speed. Increase movement speed, attack speed. So that's kind of nice. You can also see all of your stats here too. You can see what your weapon is, what your projectile weapon is, your character, and then all the different stats on them, and the skills you've picked thus far, and how many of them, if they're stackable. Go armadillos, go. Popping enemies like acne. Look at that. All right, here is the Titan, which is kind of like the end boss. Now, you don't have to actually beat the last boss here. As long as you survive, that's fine. But it does help you with unlocks if you can beat the boss at times. It just depends on what is required. Now, is it on tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3? Is it on the Frozen Plains? Is it on another map? Ow. Shit. I have beaten this boss before, which is how I got Darokin in the first place, but I just have to be careful. There we go. Got it.